These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Oh, look at that little new intro for the YouTube friends of the show here. We got Judd in the old studios. This is the OG Score North show, and Judd's in one of the OG 1500 ESPN radio studios right now, just grinding it out.
Yeah, it feels great to be back here.
I'm going to need some more enthusiasm.
Yeah, I'm about to say it.
That sounded like insincere Judd there to me.
Can't wait to get home.
Yeah. Oh, man. So before we get into some statements here on Mackey and Judd, I guess here's a statement. MSP Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning is awesome if you need a new air conditioning system.
Yes, absolutely. And guess what? Sports Dad's had MSP in his house twice. That's right. Sports Dad, who doesn't ordinarily allow strangers in his house, has welcomed MSP in. Why? Because they do such great work. Reliable, professional, courteous, quick, all of those things. And right now, if your AC is not working well, I mean, heck, if it's out, for sure, call them. But you know what? If it's been hot and it's been humid of late and you're like, the house just isn't as comfortable as it should be, $49 at all it costs for an AC tune-up to make sure that your air conditioning is working at maximum efficiency. Also, ask MSP about their Total Comfort Club membership, too. That means year-round, your house is protected. Plumbing, heating, and air. 651-615-4292 or call MSP.com. Call MSP.com. Sports Dad trusts them, and so should you.
Also, we trust Federated Insurance around here at Score North, too. And you can trust Federated if you're looking for a great work culture. Maybe you're looking to revamp your career or start a new career or just start your career, period. Federated hires special driven people who fit the Federated culture, people who value and exhibit integrity, teamwork, respect, and equity. They hire a lot of former college athletes. And so if these things describe you, if you're interested in finding out more about Federated's workplace culture and opportunities, you can visit federatedinsurance.com/careers. That's federatedinsurance.com/careers to learn more. Okay, Judd, what's your first statement?
See if this.
All right, I'm going to ask a question here.
Wait, what did Dex just say?
So see if this music bed works. I know Judd's in the studio. I think if as long as the person in the studio isn't playing it, I think it's fine. Judd, can you hear everything okay?
Yeah, I can right now.
Okay. You don't sound muffled, so muffled as in
I can barely hear the music though. So like it's playing right now. It's very, very low.
Very faint. It's faint.
In my headset here in the new studio. Anyway, so let's get right to it. I have a question. It's a little bit, it's not. It's rhetorical, but here it goes. Where the hell was this? I'm talking to you, Carlos Correa, Dateline Houston. So have you guys looked at what Carlos Correa has done in his first 10 games as an Astro, playing third base? By the way, he wanted to move to third base here. Thanks a lot for that. 10 games, slash line, 390, 457, 585. That's a 1042 OPS, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. Where was a semblance of this? Like, his play at shortstop was declining here. Okay, he got moved to third, but furthermore, like at the plate, where was any of 1042 OPS in 10 games? Okay, like a 10-game spurt from Correa like that here might have actually helped in part to save the season a bit. This guy drives me crazy. This thing just drives me nuts. I mean, he fell apart here. We always heard great leader, great clubhouse guy, takes Griffin Jacks by the hand into Rocco to sort things out. Of course, coincidentally or not so, a day after that, they're all traded. But honest to God, like Carlos Correa, thanks for showing up for 2025 in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think if there was a pie chart of blame or whatever here for this, for just Correa leaving and then showing some life and everything that led into them just dumping him for essentially nothing. There is a certain music man quality about him where the music man's going to come to town and change the Twins culture and buy the whole town instruments and build an orchestra. And we're going to play beautiful music for the entire town. And then the whole time he's just kind of full of it. He wasn't really planning on doing all those things. And then he bolts town in the middle of the night, right? Like, So there is a Music Man quality about him. But on the flip side, he comes in and, well, also worth noting, he didn't actually want to be in Minnesota because he opted out, which I get. The structure of his first contract lended itself to him hitting the market again. And he got married twice and then divorced before picking the Twins as his third baseball wife that second year. Annulments, because they weren't, yeah, that's fair. It was like you woke up the next day. The Giants woke up the next morning in Vegas with Carlos Correa and were like, did we get married last night? What's up with your ankle? And then the Mets, the same kind of thing. So he never, it was never something that he sought out as his number one or number two choice anyway. So all of this is to say, I get why maybe he wasn't super inspired to really lead the way for the Twins, especially after they go to the playoffs and the ownership on down to the front office systematically strips things over the course of 24 months. So it's I'm not trying to exonerate him because there's clearly some gas left in the tank and he's exhibiting that with Houston, but it must be a refreshing feeling for him to jump on board with a team that's been actively trying to win World Series for 10 years and just be part of something that he's familiar with. So some of it's a Music Man quality. Some of it's the Twins just dropping the ball for 2 years. And even despite last night, again, the Twins see the pinstripes and see that stadium, and it doesn't matter who the players are in the uniforms. They just soil themselves. But up until last night, there's been some new life with the Twins, too. So maybe it winds up just being a really good parting of ways for both sides.
Yeah, I think it's going to be that's what I look at it. He helped snap the playoff curse. I saw Thad Levine talking about this, too, of, look, when he signed here, it, changes the expectation of what the Minnesota Twins do in free agency, right? I mean, they bring him back twice. The first time was a huge shocker. I guess the second time was also shocking considering everything that fell out with the Mets and Giants too. But then when you're not performing, when the team is not living up to expectation, that contract basically becomes an anchor when you can't do anything else, when your ownership is actively slashing payroll. Now he's back in Houston. He's one of the most prolific postseason players of all time. He is, if you look at his stats. And you know what? Luke Keeshaw's running away with it. I know he finally showed he was human because, again, as Phil just said, doesn't matter. When a Twins player steps at Yankee Stadium, they struggle. But Luke Keeshaw's killing it. If Carlos Correa wants to be a stud again in Houston, so be it. I'm good with it.
But it is kind of you'd think that they would have gotten something of substance for him besides they couldn't even offload the whole salary. Well, that's the thing. They just they had to pick up part of the tab. And they got a minor league player who's probably going to retire this offseason because he's got a 7 ERA in the low levels. So
I would like to.
It's there's value there, and they couldn't squeeze it out of him.
Absolutely. I would like to know what Correa's hottest 10-game stretch here was this season, because I can guarantee you it wasn't this stretch. So just a semblance of this instead of the sort of dead ass underachievement we got.
Wasn't there also a little chatter when he did sign back with the Twins and Royce Lewis was still being looked at as kind of a shortstop at the time because it's 3 years ago?
Sure.
Wasn't there some thought that, hey, based on his age and his ankle, that Correa could move to third base as a Twin even at some point?
Yep.
And he's making it sound like that was a discussion from day one that we'd like to find a way to get me to third base. And I guess my question back would be, well, if that's where he wanted to go and clearly has felt comfortable playing third, he agreed to play third base for the Mets before they annulled the marriage, then what was happening there? Were the because he's not the same defensive shortstop now, and it's a position that is more taxing on your legs and your feet because you're covering more ground. You have to make more sudden movements. Third base is a little more stationary in that regard. Mm-hmm. Did they explore this, but they just decided, well, Royce isn't really a long-term shortstop or a long-term second baseman. Brooks is our shortstop, so that's an easy plug. But what happened with that part of the conversation?
But you're right, though. So initially, the conversation was because of the foot problems or the ankle problems that someday he would move to third, and perhaps by the end of the contract, he's a DH or he's playing first. But my thing is this, with what the Twins ultimately paid, which was a lot for them, he needed to play shortstop. The second he goes to third base as a Twin, it's well, the contract's not that great then. Like the whole thing was he needed to play shortstop. And so, yeah. And look, the Twins, I'm not absolving them. They deserve blame here too. And they get plenty of blame. I'm just agitated by the fact that he goes to Houston and he's this supposed corner locker guy who pulled the team together. You know, his whole thing of, well, I went and talked to Derek and Rocco and we straightened things out. Straighten things right out in a return ticket to the Astros. Thank you very much, buddy.
By the way, corner locker guy last night gave up a couple runs. Yeah, right. Didn't he gave up a couple. Yes. They made a game of it. It was 3-2, and then they start marching these random dudes out. Yeah, he gave up it was the homer. It was the homer to the
bullpen can't survive this.
The Chisholm homer.
The bullpen cannot survive this. Like they've got some fun young pieces, but I think the bullpen will ultimately sabotage whatever good they think they can do.
Yeah. All right, I got a statement for you guys. I'll frame it this way. Don't take for granted that the Wilfs are the owners of the Minnesota Vikings. The Wilfs are very, very good owners. They've never won Super Bowls, but they're very, very good NFL owners. Last night, Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, appearing on the red carpet at the Netflix premiere for this Dallas Cowboys like documentary, or I don't know if it's like a docu-series, whatever it is, looking at the like 40 years of Jerry Jones owning the Cowboys. And he was asked about the Cowboys' impact on pop culture. And he essentially told us, without knowing that this is what he was saying, why the Cowboys never win, like on a big level. For some context, the Cowboys' last NFC title game appearance was in 1995, the 95 season. Every other NFC team has been to at least the NFC Championship game since the 2010 season. And that was the Bears. The Bears are last in line to have gone to an NFC Championship game. Then it's a 15-year desert, and then you get to the Dallas Cowboys. And Jerry Jones, asked about the Cowboys' impact on pop culture, said, I do believe if we're not being looked at, then I'll do my part to get us looked at. The Cowboys are so popular 365 days a year. When it gets slow, I will stir it up. It's wonderful to have great athletes, great players, but there's something more there with the Cowboys. There's sizzle, there's emotion, and there's controversy. And that controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention. That right there is why Micah Parsons' drama is spilling over, right? Like there's no other logical explanation when you have maybe the best edge rusher in the entire league at like the second most important position in the middle of his prime 26, why you wouldn't just sign him. There's no logical explanation except for the one that Jerry Jones just spilled last night at this Netflix red carpet, that he purposefully adds sizzle to the pot to keep people's attention on the Dallas Cowboys. And then they wonder, like, well, why has it been 30 years since we've been to an NFC Championship game? So he'd rather be relevant and talked about in any form than win at a high level.
So he's essentially, if I'm interpreting this right, Jax from Vanderpump Rules. Like he's a character who's trying.
A really obscure reference that 2% of our audience gets, but I hear you on that.
Okay, sure. A reality show we've talked about before. But my point is, who
Jax from Vanderpump Rules.
No,
you don't?
I know the show. I know the name of the show. I have not spent a second of my life ever watching that show, and I love my trashy TV. I'm not trashing the decision to watch.
It's a great trashy show. Okay. Sorry, I will amend that to say, so he's basically is admitting that he is running a reality show far more than a football team.
And if they happen to, through that process of trying to be controversial and interesting, if they happen to stumble into a Super Bowl, then so be it. That's how I interpret it.
Yes.
Versus some other franchises that it would like. I mean, the Vikings avoid controversy for the most part. There's always some things, and they do lead the NFL in arrests for the last 25 years. But the Vikings, you very rarely hear about big contract controversies, like even like the Cousins and Jefferson stuff. It's all kind of done behind closed doors, and then they all praise each other after the fact. There's
Sure.
no like trade demands and things of that nature.
Sure. So essentially, it's amazing too, because Jerry Jones, when he fired, and it was very controversial at the time because, Tom Landry had been the coach forever, brings in Jimmy Johnson, which was sort of a risk at the time, to run the football operation. And Jimmy Johnson turns out to be a visionary, just brilliant. And so he got off on not just the right foot, and Jimmy Johnson ran the football team. And then Jerry got jealous, hired Barry Switzer, who went to a Super Bowl. I think he won one, and that was it. But that was Jimmy Johnson's team. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, he's gone from this is a brilliant strategy to I need to be in charge.
Yeah. And it's been 30 years, and they've had some 12-win seasons. What is the Vikings' biggest controversy in 2025 besides like losing a playoff game?
I mean, controversy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Is it like Josh Metellus didn't get an extension and
Jordan being suspended for 3 games?
I guess.
Okay.
Would fall in there. I mean, and that is, but I mean, the Vikings also have become incredibly stable, in part thanks to O'Connell and Crazy, because I mean, there was a gong show period there. I mean, Red ran some good teams, don't get me wrong, but there were some gong shows. And when I started to cover them, the gong shows continued. I mean, when you have the boat will live in infamy forever.
Yeah.
But now, like you look at the stability, again, that term culture, yeah, they're incredibly stable.
And not that this is all on the Wilfs, but like the first 8-9 years of the Wilfs there wasn't exactly smooth sailing off the field. You had Brett Favre situation in 2010. You had the Adrian Peterson switch situation. So like there's been some rockiness, but I would say post that, so like 2015 and on, 10 years. Let's call it 10 years, a decade. The last 10 years, I'm trying to think of the craziest thing that's happened off the field where we see all that graphic of, they had the most arrests since 2000. It's like, well, like a lot of that was front loaded. Last 10 years has been a lot better.
And I'm thinking more on the Cowboys front of, like Mike McCarthy has 3 consecutive 12-win seasons, and like he's kind of a punching bag, but 3 consecutive 12-win seasons, and you purposefully ride his contract over the cliff and create this like suspense and tension and sizzle and controversy to get like Jerry Jones is doing that not strategically because he's like playing chess with coaching candidates. He's doing it so that people talk about the Cowboys. Micah Parsons, he keeps talking about the risk involved in like, dude, there's risk. It's football. There's risk with every single player. This guy's 26 years old. He's gonna get 17 sacks for you every year for the next 5 years. There's no reason not to pay him other than people talk about why aren't they paying Micah Parsons for the next 3 weeks? He demands it. When he demands a trade, I think most organizations would be like, oh my God. Oh, this is bad. Jerry's like, yes. He demanded a trade. Headlines for the next 3 weeks across every NFL website.
And just like with Dak, you could argue that the Cowboys, 1, will ultimately pay Micah Parsons, and 2, they'll pay a tax for this. So like, if you do the contract, right, the sooner, if you know that you're going to keep the guy, the sooner that you do the contract, you're probably going to, I'm not saying lock in a lot less, but you're going to lock in at a more favorable rate to the team. Well, guess what's going to happen now? They're going to sign him and they're going to pay more. So yeah, that's a very interesting, he is running in his mind a television show, not a football team.
Yeah. And I guess you could say because of their valuation, I think it is still the most valuable franchise in the NFL, right? That from that standpoint, all right, his philosophy the last 30 years has led them to be the most,
you know what it is?
Of billions of dollars in valuation in the NFL.
It's the George Steinbrenner Yankees.
But they'd mix in a World Series win once in a while, wouldn't they?
Sure, but I mean, but George loved the circus. George wanted the circus. That was his thing.
Yeah. So be grateful that they haven't delivered a championship yet, but you could do a lot worse than old Mark and Ziggy and Lenny and the Wario and the whole family out there. So before we get to some more statements here, let's talk about food. starting with Pronto Pups, Judd.
Oh, yeah, baby.
State Fair season is right around the corner. We're going to be there, State Fair, August 21st through the 29th, 7 different weekdays, Score North from noon to 3. We have our own booth.
I can guarantee you, first thing I'm purchasing on the Thursday, Pronto Pup.
Pronto Pup.
Mustard only.
I was going to say mustard only? Mustard only?
No ketchup. No ketchup on that.
Told.
Nope. I want a smattering of mustard on that.
I love that.
Please.
I love that. So when we are talking about the State Fair's original food on a stick, and there's a lot of food on a stick now, we, of course, are talking about the Pronto Pup. A day at the fair is not complete until you enjoy a Pronto Pup. Founded, get this, in 1947 by the Carnes family. 8 great locations throughout the fairground, so make sure to support and enjoy a Pronto Pup, the official food on a stick at the fair. And don't forget to stop by our booth. We'll be back there doing all of our shows, Score North booth at the fair, and pick up your very own, wait for it. That's right, Judd on a stick. You're going to find Judd on a stick, but more importantly than this guy, this guy's okay. Nuh-uh, Pronto Pup. That's not okay. It's delicious.
Yeah. ScoreNorth.com/fair to see our schedule for which podcast we're going to be doing and when, and to see where the booth is. We need some Green Mill pizza on a stick. Who do I need to talk to? To get that Green Mill tavern-style pizza folded up and on a stick, or maybe just a slice? I don't know. But if you've ever dined at an iconic Green Mill restaurant, you already know the legendary flavor of Green Mill foods, and the pizzas can now be enjoyed anytime at home. So can the soft breadsticks and sauces, by the way. Find them inside your local grocer. Learn more at greenmillfoods.com. That's greenmillfoods.com.
All right, let's bring this to the table. This has been making the rounds across social media and the internet. What is the 4th major U.S. city? So
I love that this is going around.
Without being said, the top 3, and I don't think this is not a debate, the top 3 are obviously New York, L.A., Chicago.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 major U.S. cities. If we're just going off population after those 3 cities, which, by the way, New York 1, L.A. 2, Chicago 3, next in line is Houston, Texas. After that, it's Phoenix. 6th is Philadelphia. 7th is San Antonio. 8th is San Diego. 9th is Dallas. 10th is Jacksonville. I'm actually a little surprised Jacksonville.
It's pretty wild.
High.
It's
growing. I did not have Jacksonville that high. For context, locally here, by the way, Minneapolis, 46th in just population. Behind Omaha. Do you guys know Omaha has more people than Minneapolis? I guess I was kind of floored by that.
So this is different than like TV metro numbers, right? Where like the Twin Cities area would be, or like the Bay Area, would you count San Francisco, Oakland, Sausalito, and all the, So this is just the city limits of Minneapolis is only like 40, right?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the 4th major U.S. city. This is a little tough. I guess if you're just going geographically, Houston does make some sense, right? So you got both coasts covered. Chicago's more upper Midwest. Houston more lower tier, southwest. I don't know how to word. South central of the continental United States.
Yeah.
I guess then the other options would be like, again, if we're just going like geographically, trying to place these cities in even territory. Maybe Seattle, maybe Atlanta.
No, a couple things here. We need to create some ground rules. I don't think we need to create balance here. I think I mean, if we've got New York up here, we have LA down here, and Chicago's in the middle. So we need to create some balance by going further south.
Yep.
I would throw that out, and I think there's 2 different ways to look at this.
Okay.
There's population, or maybe 3. There's population of the city. Mm-hmm. Then I think there's population of the metro area around the city, but then there's just like the stature of the city itself.
Yeah. That's what I'm all about.
And the one that has not been mentioned that I feel very strongly is,
I know where you're going,
is the 4th major American city is Las Vegas, Nevada. Is that where you thought I was? Oh, it's not where you thought I was going.
No, it's not where I thought you were going.
It's Las Vegas, Nevada. Now they've had some issues price gouging the last couple of years,
right.
And some of the tourist attendance is down.
I thought you were going Miami.
Miami's fine, and and I'm sure the people of Florida, one of the largest, what is it, the second or third largest state in the country, would like to be represented.
Yep.
We could put Miami on the short list.
Miami's in the discussion. Where's Miami Miami's 42nd in population, behind Omaha.
And so that's the thing. Are we counting if it's Miami
I'm going
alone,
with stature.
but if we're counting like the general region and the stature of the city?
Yeah, I'm going stature here. I don't care about your population. I care about your stature. And Vegas is not a bad pick. So I could be on board with that one.
And it's like it's a different flavor. Like
yep, I could be on board with that.
And even like I would throw in Phoenix in there. Like Phoenix is southwest. It's a little different. So
yeah.
You know, like I can see that being a thing. It's a very
But if you're going to throw Phoenix in, it's like, oh, we're going to put a city in the desert in the mix here.
I'd throw Vegas.
I think it's got to be Vegas.
Okay.
I'm fine. Yep. I'm fine with that. Miami. Philadelphia's big, but I'm sorry.
Shrinking.
New York takes the cake.
It's down 2% over the last.
And New York takes the cake out there. Like, we're not going to add another East Coast city.
We're not adding Boston to double down. No.
Boston would be better than Philadelphia, in my opinion, but no. I would rather go Vegas. That's not a bad one because it's growing too, right? It continues to grow.
Houston's sitting over there like, hello. We're
I'm out on Houston. No, Jacksonville and Houston, I hate. I've made this well known. I hate both of those cities.
What about Nashville?
It's growing. Do you have? Where does it rank in population?
Nashville is 21st.
Do you have
population?
Do you have I have a list up that says 2020 and 24.
Yeah.
But mine stops at 18 because I cropped it. So.
Oh, okay.
So I love Nashville, but let me tell you right now, I'm going with two things here. I said it before. I'm going with stature and sizzle. I want sizzle.
I mean,
yeah, but dude,
Nashville has sizzle.
Tons of both of those things.
It does have sizzle, but it's not Vegas sizzle.
I mean, I would say it's like diet, not it's a diet Vegas.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Am I making an assumption here? But like,
it's not quite Vegas, but like it's definitely it's country Vegas. It's a little bit of country Vegas.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But if we're gonna go with sizzle, Vegas has more sizzle, and quite frankly, Miami does too. This is not to put down Nashville. I hate Houston and Jacksonville, so I hate them. I actually think that Nashville's great. I just can't give it that stature.
I've never been to Nashville. I've always wanted to go.
You've never been there? It's great. Great downtown.
It's a good time. Yeah.
Honky tonk is it's good.
If you were to add just the population, okay, of Minneapolis and St. Paul, which St. Paul, by the way, is 68th with about a little over 300,000. And if you add Minneapolis's population, which is 428, you're looking at like the 21st, right around Nashville population size. Yeah. So like if you add both Twin Cities together, you're talking about a top 20 to 25 population city in the United States.
Let's hang that banner.
That's right.
Let's hang that banner.
No sizzle.
By the way, the biggest looking at like the biggest change, like biggest population jump from 2020 to 24. A lot of them are in Texas, like Georgetown, Texas had
Fort
a 50% boost.
50%?
Yeah, they had 67,000 people in Georgetown, Texas in 2020. It's now over 100,000.
Okay.
North Las Vegas has jumped 12%.
Yep.
That one's been a big one. A lot of Texas, a lot of Arizona. Buckeye, Goodyear, and Lewis. Buckeye and Goodyear in Arizona have jumped up pretty significantly. Port Lucia, is that how you pronounce it?
Port St. Lucie.
Lucie? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting, too, because I went to the Panhandle side like a year ago this time, actually, when I went to a wedding. The Panhandle side, like Destin, Rosemary Beach, that area of Florida, completely different vibe and era of Florida than, like, Orlando, Tampa, St. Pete.
Sure.
I've never been to Miami. Completely different thing of Florida that I was not expecting. In a good way, by the way. In a good way. But, yeah, I think Vegas is a good one there. And by the way, I love Minneapolis. I love St. Paul. Date Minneapolis, marry St. Paul. But we're not the fourth major city. As much we love to brag about how great our city and state is, we are nowhere near it.
That?
No, but like you know, Minnesotans. Minnesotans are proud. Minnesotans are proud people. We are
obviously it's Duluth, not the Twin Cities.
Yeah, it's Duluth.
I don't think we want to be fourth. Like, I don't think our big goal, and you're right, we're territorial as hell. I don't think we want to be fourth. Like, I don't think we care about that.
There's some. I'm looking at this. Wikipedia has. I think it's the same thing you're looking at here.
Yeah.
The change from the 2020 census to the 2024.
Oh wow.
And in terms of like the big population cities, like 500,000 or more.
Mhm.
So Charlotte is up 8% population from. So they're 14th now. The 2020 census, Charlotte was 16th. So they've climbed. Charlotte's like creeping up to the top 10 largest cities
What's
in the
Atlanta?
United States. Atlanta is, because you don't get the metro area, so it's just Atlanta, is 36th at 520,000.
Interesting. Okay.
Below Tucson, Arizona, below Albuquerque, Milwaukee, Portland,
Wow.
Louisville. Yeah. And
Milwaukee.
then the biggest gaining one is Fort Worth, Texas,
Yeah.
is now the 11th largest American city. 10% growth from 2020. So like pretty good chance by the time the next census rolls around that Fort Worth is going to be like right there with Dallas because it's only 300,000 behind. So what are we saying? Are we Las Vegas, Nashville, or Miami? What's our official?
I think it's
Or
between
Brainerd. Is it Brainerd? Bemidji?
I think it's between Vegas and Miami. But I'm
Vegas and
comfortable.
Miami.
I agree with you. I think
This is
that
binding, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
when we hit stop on this
So-
I'm not
episode,
giving it to Nashville. I love Nashville, but I'm not giving it to Nashville.
So I mean I love Vegas, but it's a mecca, but it's like it's just a tiny little thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think Miami's bigger.
Okay, then it's got to be Houston.
Yeah. I
No.
think Vegas is too small.
But it's growing
It's an
exponentially.
attraction.
I don't like the prerequisite of how they're doing the population though. Like to me, the suburbs like that's ridiculous. The suburbs factor in. Like I'm not going to say, well, just because yes, it's small, but the suburbs are growing there, and people are it's becoming a destination place to live,
Yeah.
and it's always been a destination place to go to. So I'd be very comfortable saying Las Vegas.
If you rank them, by the way, based on if it's population of the media market area, so you include like suburbs within reason.
Yeah.
It's still the same top three. And then Dallas Fort Worth is number 2
Yeah.
because both of those are over 1 million. And then Philadelphia, Houston, Atlanta jumps up to 7 from like 40th.
Yeah. Houston. Yep. That's true.
DC, Boston, Bay Area, where you get San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose. And you'd still have to go down to 40 for Vegas because, yeah, like Declan's right, the population's not there, but the sizzle and the stature.
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
high.
I mean, if you wanted to go with sizzle as well, although it's obviously close to Los Angeles, San Francisco has sizzle.
Yeah, but I feel like
But I'm not
close
going
to
to fight
LA.
for that. Yeah.
it's
so I'm not
it's in
going to
the
fight for that.
it's like a 10-hour drive from LA, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
feels
I
like
wouldn't
well,
fight
that's
for
like
it.
the tech. It's like, you know, if you wanted to go like Silicon Valley or something.
Yeah.
So, all right, you know what? We'll let the comment sections debate this ragingly here on Mackey and Judd on the YouTube channel. Click that like button, the subscribe button. Is it Vegas or Miami? Or is it Alexandria?
I like
Or
Duluth.
St. Cloud?
I liked when you
nice.
picked Duluth. I
you
liked when
ask-
you picked Duluth.
If you scroll down this Wikipedia page, one of the former cities of 100,000 people that has dropped off 100,000 at their peak, Duluth is on this list. They have dropped out of 100,000 people.
And guess what, Dex?
Sharp decline.
Fall is coming.
Yeah.
You get on the road. You make the
And then
drive up.
200,000 people go back
Oh
and
my God.
replace.
You watch the gorgeous leaves
Yeah,
turning.
the same leaves that are falling in my backyard. Same thing. Crazy
It's
Just
one
get
of
a
the
guy
great-
to
one of the great
wake 'em up.
mysteries of this is Declan, a
Just
born and raised
I don't have to
Minnesotan.
go there. I don't have
Distaste
to
for
go there.
It's a great drive.
Yeah,
Fall,
'cause
it's gorgeous drive.
I really personally love the North Shore Lake Superior views that you get in
I
Andover.
actually don't kid.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anoka.
Yeah.
Same
Right.
thing.
You come over the hill there, the bridge, you come over, you see just a glorious mass of fall.
Yeah,
It's
when you're
great.
driving through St. Louis Park and you get the big bridge and the views. Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
By the way, coming up next year on this episode of Mackey and Judd. So I sat down with Joe Delegrave, who is the head coach of the United States wheelchair rugby team, a 2-time Paralympic medalist, and a former Division II tight end for Winona State, whose life was upended when he was 19 years old about 20 years ago in a freak boating accident. And through the help of the Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute, Joe was able to get back a semblance of normalcy, discover his new normal, and he discovered wheelchair rugby, which has been a huge part of his life, obviously, for the last 20 years or so. It's all part, this conversation, of our week-long fundraiser, the Power of Sports auction at scorenorth.com/bid. That's scorenorth.com/bid. And I'll highlight a couple items here real quick. So there's a few buy it nows that are going pretty fast. Maybe by the time this is posted, some of these are off the board. But if you want to hang out with the three of us on the Minnesota Twins executive balcony, Tuesday, September 2nd, those tickets are just $75. It's always a fun time every single year. We've got sweet tickets for Adam Sandler in October. And you can hang out with Declan's dogs as well. And Bert Kreischer in a suite Saturday, September 20th. And also, if you want to hang out and watch Gopher football in a suite with myself and Thor Nystrom for the opener on Thursday, August 28th. All of it at scorenorth.com/bid all week long. Here's my conversation with Joe Delegrave. All right. We're spending all week long here across the Score North network of podcasts raising money for the Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute through the annual Power of Sports auction. And you've heard us talk about all the items up for bid, buy it now items. Scorenorth.com/bid is where you can go. I think my favorite item is probably the dinner with Purple Daily, where you can come and tell us exactly what you think of us, and you get a Justin Jefferson autographed jersey and a Harrison Smith autograph too. But our guest here today is the current head coach of the United States wheelchair rugby team, where he tells our friend Chuck Aoki what to do. A two-time Paralympic medalist and also a keynote speaker with an incredible background and story. Joe Delegrave, thanks for taking some time out of your schedule, Joe.
Absolutely. Appreciate being here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I'd love for you to just tell our audience your story and your background. I mean, you were a three-sport athlete in high school. You're actually in the Twin Cities this week, and you said you're actually on the way to Winona State, where you played college football. Eventually, you became one of the best wheelchair rugby players in the world, and now you're the head coach of the United States team. Between those things, 20 years ago, your life took an unexpected turn, and I'd love for you to just tell our audience your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. How I got to telling Chuck Aoki what to do is kind of the story. That's
Exactly.
no. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, playing sports my whole life, whether that's basketball, football, baseball, you name it. I love being a part of teams. And in between my freshman and sophomore year at Winona State, where I played football there as a tight end, had just a freak boating accident, hit the bottom of the river accidentally. My buddy was driving. I'm sitting in a boat, fall backwards, hit my head on the front of the boat, inside the boat, and break my neck at the C6 and 7 level. So I went from 6'6", 260 pounds to what's life look like sitting in a wheelchair, which is pretty traumatic for a 19-year-old kid that's pretty ignorant, has no idea what adaptive sports are and like that. And took me a little while to figure out um, what that looked like for me. And so about a year and a half after my accident, started to just talk to people that were in the community, called some people at Courage Kenny with the rugby team. And I was like, what's this crazy sport where they go around smashing into each other in wheelchairs? Like, I've never seen anything like it. Looks really fun. And for me with wheelchair rugby, it was one of those that was like everything that the doctors said I couldn't do, or I perceived in my own head that I couldn't do anymore, they were doing on the field and off. And so went to practice in 2006 at Courage Kenny, and it truly changed my life. Like, it was, I don't want to be dramatic about it, but at the same time, like, I went there and there's a community of guys that were going through the same things or had gone through the same things as me, and got in a chair and smashed into some people. And I'm like, this is really cool. I need to come back. And that's what evolved into almost a 20-year career in the sport both as a player and now as a coach.
It's kind of the community, I suppose, that you you're going through this mental transition of, like you said, you were 6'6" college football player, 240-pound tight end, and now you're trying to figure out, can I play sports again? What am I going back to school? You should probably thinking
Yep.
all these a million different
Yep.
thoughts. What was like the first, I don't know, 6 months, 2 years, that early part? What was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, that's the 6 months to really day 1 to 2 years later. Really dark times. I mean, it's not it's something that I don't even think about anymore. But when I think back on it, those were dark moments of like exactly what you said. What is life going to look like in a wheelchair? I have my identity ripped away as an athlete. Am I going to be an athlete still? What kind of job can I get in a wheelchair? What all these different questions circulate around your head, and you're trying to figure out. Um, how to live life in a wheelchair, what that looks like. Do I go back to school? Do I change my major? Like all those questions. But the biggest thing for me truly was community, and that's like community in my adaptive sports group, community, family and friends that spoke into me when I needed it, and some really close buddies for me. My two best friends in high school, both were on the boat, and both, friends to this day, and we're super close. And having those that brotherhood, the friendships that are like, man, you need like the human guardrails, what I call them, guys that are going to lift you up when you need it and kind of pull you back when you need it as well. And that's truly what got me into adaptive sports. My buddy goes, hey, how boys are. They're just like, hey, dude, you're getting fat. And that was his way of loving me, which was funny. And I was like, nah, man, I'm not getting fat. And he's like, no, we should weigh you. And I'm like, I don't think so. And so we ended up weighing me in a local hospital on a bed scale. You get on there, and it said 285 pounds. And I told the nurse, I'm like, I think your bed's broke. I like, there's no way I weigh that much. And she's like, well, we can do it again. And sure enough, said the same thing. And that's truly what like led to me going, I need to be active somehow. But so it's never just a Joe thing that it's always community and people that are speaking into my life and building me up. And that's the beauty of team sports and community.
Yeah. So you mentioned like sports as an identity, and kind of going through that of, man, is sports going to be part of my identity going forward as you're going through this process? So how has your identity, or however you want to define that, shifted? I mean, sports have been a huge part of your life, and wheelchair rugby has been a huge part of your professional identity. But how has your identity changed or not over the past 20 years?
Yeah, yeah. Probably there's a couple significant things in there. I was cut from the Rio team in 2016, and kind of really having that like accident thinking over again of like the identity's ripped away. I'm not going to Rio to the Paralympics, but it ended up being probably the most important part of my career. All the accolades are great, all the medals are great, and coaching is great, but having that moment to go like, what, like, who am I without this sport? What does this look like? And really did some work on the mental aspect of that, of going like, who am I? At the time of 2016, I had 3 kids that were under 4 years old. And so my wife and I are, we're figuring it out, don't go. And then really it was kind of like this switch in my thinking of, I'm not doing any of this for an identity. I'm doing it from an identity. And that's being a really good husband. That's being a really good father. It's been super fun to go through all the youth sports stuff with my kids, who are now 13, 11, and 9. So they're getting into, two of them getting into middle school sports and whatnot, club sports and all of that. But like doing it from my father's side is definitely helped me switch to where it's like sports are a great vehicle for your true purpose in life. And whether that, hopefully that interacts with a passion as well, because I think that's a beautiful spot when we can intersect our passion and purpose. And for me, that's what happened. I see coaching as a servant leadership type.
On coaching specifically, what do you like the best about coaching? What sort of fulfills you the most about coaching?
Yeah, yelling at people, that's great. No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
great. Yeah.
Uh,
Just
yeah.
holding your power over people. It's
Oh
incredible.
man, just yeah. Abuse of power. No, just kidding. I think for me, it's, and obviously with I retired after Tokyo in 2021 after Pandemic pushed those back a year in Tokyo and then retired and then went right into coaching as a head coach. And so obviously for me, and so I'm in my fourth season now, so it's a little different in this last couple seasons, but first couple seasons really like building those relationships in a new way. Obviously, like guys like Chuck, Aoki and I are close friends off the court and have been teammates for a long, long time. Came up together at Courage Kenny in our club ball days. And but building those relationships from a coach player's perspective and making sure that there's lines of communication open on both sides. I think that's the biggest thing as an athlete going into a coach. I love being able to um, understand that they're going to see things differently on the court than I am on the sideline. And I think taking a little bit of um, Andy Reid's approach on I love hearing about coaches that are like they have days where the players draw up different plays, trick plays that they want to do, and things like that. That I think is it helps with buy-in if players know that they have a voice in this. And so we at USAWR we have three V's that I go by. Athletes need to make sure that they understand they have a voice. They need to understand that they're valued, and then they also need to understand what our vision is, and we need to be transparent about that. So I think that helps them set that up for success, and helps me get set up for success as well.
What's funny about like Andy Reid, they do that, like you said, for kind of team building and just keep it light and you're just giving players a say. And then about two or three times a year, he'll actually say, that's actually a really good idea. Let's use that in a playoff game. Or let's use that in a big
Yeah,
division game.
it's
It's kind of
wild.
wild. Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, it's super wild. Yeah.
Hey, what if you could go back, just maybe this is kind of a heavy question, but like if you could go back 20 years, current day Joe, and everything that you've learned and experienced, and tell 19-year-old head is spinning Joe after a life-changing incident, what would you go back and say to younger Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. Heavy question, but it's a great question, and I love this question too because I'm all about perspective. I think it helps pausing in a perspective. I think it helps with change and momentum. Anyway, won't go down a rabbit hole there, but anyway, what I tell him is like just simply get in the wheelchair. I remember being in the hospital bed and I looked at the wheelchair as like the biggest obstacle ever. But really like getting in the wheelchair led me to getting back to school, and getting in the wheelchair led me to finding out about wheelchair rugby, and getting in the wheelchair led me to an undergraduate master's degree, and like all that stuff, and like wearing USA across your chest. And my proudest is getting in a wheelchair and marrying the love of your life, and having three kids that I get to be a dad to. There's a lot of purpose in that, but it starts with just baby steps. And I think that's the biggest thing whether someone's going through something traumatic like an accident like mine, or it's just, the day in, day out, down in the dumps type of things, is it's one foot in front of the other. For me, it was getting in a wheelchair, and that was my mode of being able to get around. But like that was the biggest thing, is like it's gonna suck here for a second. There's gonna be some dark moments. There's probably gonna be some dark months figuring it all out. But the first step is just getting in that bad boy.
Yeah,
And really life changed once I made that choice and started making that choice daily.
I love that. What's something for our listening and viewing audiences here on the Score North podcast? What is something or a thing or two about the Courage Kenny Rehab Institute, if they're not that familiar with what happens inside with some of the equipment and the people?
Yeah.
What's a thing or two that you'd love to pull the curtain back on and say this is why it's really important?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely love what you guys are doing and have been doing for a decade and a half with the auction. And I think when inside those four walls, what's happening there is there's a lot of life-changing stuff going around. I've always said for me and where I've been and gotten places I've gotten to go, the most groundbreaking for me or transformational thing happened at Courage Kenny. There's communities of people playing adaptive sports, and it's bigger than getting to play wheelchair rugby or wheelchair basketball or wheelchair tennis or swimming, and there's like an abundance of sports. It doesn't have to be rugby. It can be art. It can be music. It can be, whatever it is. And there's a community of people that are pouring into these people. We can't go through some of these things that we've acquired, whether it's acquired or born with disabilities, by ourselves. In a silo, it's not going to work. With community, um, there's room for a lot of growth and change. And Courage Kenny being all over across the country and getting to come back and see that place and see the people there, they're changing lives. Like full stop. Like that's what they're doing through the power of adaptive sports. And so it's not necessarily the up and down of the playing. It's the getting drinks of water and talking about how life's going after, before, during type of deal.
Yeah. Hey man, thanks. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, you as
Been
well.
friends with Chuck for probably 10 or 12 years,
Yeah.
and just everything. Got to get you guys a gold medal at some point. I do needle
Here's
Chuck.
the
You got a lot of
deal.
hardware. We got to get you
Yeah,
guys a gold medal.
we're ramping up, and I mean the biggest thing is like if we get silver in LA, like you might as well call us the USA Buffalo Bills. We can't do that. We've got to make sure that we're getting the right color this time. So we're well on our way. But yeah, absolutely.
He's the Josh Allen and you're the Sean McDermott, if that. But still, but the fact that you guys are so decorated. If for the audience, if you haven't checked out the U.S. Men's wheelchair rugby team, you can find clips all over the internet, and it's a great program. So Joe, awesome to meet you, and
You as well.
hopefully we can hang out in person at some point. And for the audience, scorenorth.com/bid is where you can get your hands on some buy it now items, auction items, or you could just straight up donate if you want to this Power of Sports auction benefiting the Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute. Thank you again, Joe. Take care, man.
All right. Take care.